Hello to Chester and all the shoppers, and just to say, as I did before, I live with a condition which is going to kill me, so talking about the NHS is me really talking about from the heart, because if this goes the way we think it's going to go, which is privatisation, I will be dead in 2 weeks. That's all I've got without a free, at the point of view, NHS, and an NHS which is working for everybody and not just the rich. So I talked a bit this morning about what was going on with older people and how older people are going to be really at the forefront as this begins to bite, and how they are no longer doing operations for people over the age of 75 in a great many parts of the country. I'll now go on to the newest initiatives in health and social care, which those in charge say are going to save it. And the newest initiatives in health and social care are, believe it or not, apps. We are all going to be able to get on, no matter how ill, no matter how sick, no matter how old or frail, and we're going to get our health care by apps, which is absolutely brilliant. I'm sure you'll be pleased about that. So, there's no evidence that any of this is going to help. It's totally unevidenced. But the government is working a lot with groups of people, big companies who are selling these apps and these different technologies to the NHS. So our money is now going into things like apps instead of to actual care for people who are needing it. And as I said, there's no evidence these measures will produce anything near the required savings, and the ethical and quality-driven implementation, if it was done, would actually cost more. So if they did this properly, if they went out into the community, if they funded enough nurses and doctors to get into the community, and if they funded the technology properly, it would actually cost a lot more. The delivery system's lacking in democratic accountability. This means they're not telling the people. It's completely being done behind closed doors, unless people are actually aware of the few leaks that there have been. There have only been 1 or 2 leaks of these plans, which are an opaque directive from the Department of Health and Government, and they're called, as you possibly heard earlier on, STPs, Sustainability and Transformation Plans. I've been told to hold this dead close and shout into it, so that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, seems to answer.
The heads of these large areas, which are called footprints, have been identified, and I bet you don't even know that we are a footprint, that they pushed us in with Borough and Merseyside, and that we're the second biggest footprint in the country. So the whole of Cheshire, the whole of the Wirral and Merseyside are one big footprint. And there's a lady in charge, I can't even remember her name, but this is one of the most powerful people now in health for our area, and nobody knows she's there. Little information is getting through to us, and there's no opportunity to say what's going to happen to our health services locally. The public has not been asked. We are going to be told what they're going to do, and at that point we may or may not, if there's enough time, be able to say something, but it will already be set in stone. In most cases we'll be presented with this fait accompli, but the leaks have shown what this fait accompli means is plans to reduce funding drastically. Not just by a little, but drastically. They have underfunded us to the point where the UK health service is funded along the same lines as the Estonian one. It's really, really bad. They might tell you, oh, we're funding the NHS, but ask them how they're funding it compared to Germany, compared to France, compared to most civilised countries in Europe, and we are absolutely dire. So we're not well funded anyway. They're looking for swingeing cuts. What do you think this is going to do when you have to take your child to A&E or when you need an operation? On top of that, if your local health service people try to avoid this, it's quite possible that despite them saying local people can do it, we have local accountability, that what they'll actually do is take over and sack the local people that are trying to do their best for those of us who live in Cheshire. One of the suggested plans has involved, this is the local one, has involved closing 7 hospitals to be replaced by 2. Now they say this is going to happen. We hope it's not, because we can't figure out how they would manage to build the new hospitals involved, or the new hospital involved, which would be at Ellesmere Port and closing the Countess. We hope it's not going to happen, but at some point in the next few years you might well be called upon to save the Countess of Chester Hospital. They're certainly talking about cutting beds at a time when more and more older people have got more complex conditions and need those hospital beds. I know it's not a good idea to stay in hospital long. I know that they would be better out. But if you can't get into a hospital to get fixed in the first place, you'll be out in the community, sick and even more disabled than you would have been in the first place. We don't have enough nursing home places. We've got decreasing numbers of care homes. And anyway, they've slashed local authority funding so much that the local authority isn't really paying enough to put people into their care homes. And this is in the 6th richest country in the world, and this is in a well-off area, which is the 2nd biggest footprint in the country. So how are they going to do this? Well, we've got a huge deficit because they've been trying to keep our services going. Not because they're bad at managing money, just to keep services at the level which will work for the local population. So the plans to cut the funding also feature plans to cut demand. How do you decide you're not going to A&E? How do you decide you're not going to hospital? How do you cut demand? Well, they've asked the public not to go to accident and emergency unless it's life-threatening. So if your 60-year-old falls out of bed and breaks his arm in the middle of the night, it's not life-threatening, is it? Where do you take them? Who else would you go in the middle of the night? It's going to be extremely difficult. They're putting services out into the community, but they don't have the doctors, they don't have the nurses, they don't have the staff. Who exactly are we going to have? Who is going to look after your 6-year-old with a broken arm? The other thing they're going to do is prevention. Well, that's a good idea. Educate young people about their health, talk to middle-aged people about exercising more. But prevention isn't going to work in the shorter term, is it? And it's now that this is happening, not in 10 years' time or 20 years' time. How do you prevent a sick 80-year-old needing health care right now? You tell them to go jogging and things will work out okay? What do? This will not work. If you yourselves want a good old age and a good death, you are going to become an expense in your turn. We all are at some point, usually in the last few years of our life, going to be a heavy drain of the NHS. But that's your grandmother now, it's me a bit later on, I hope. Hopefully not now. It's you, and then it's your children, and then it's your children's children. We must not break this contract. We must keep going to fund properly end of life, which is the most expensive bit. And don't forget, premature ill health is usually caused by deprivation. But what they're doing is cutting funding to reduce the impact of low pay, disability and unemployment. Inequality and poverty are rising. It's just ridiculous to think that we can do. It's just ridiculous to think that we can do all this now without at a background of austerity when we're not actually supporting people to be able to be fit, to be able to do these things which will keep them fitter. It's just pure magical thinking. And then there's the staffing shortages. Withdrawal of nursing bursaries. Nurses who are training spend a huge amount of their time actually working just like other nurses in a ward. cannot tell the difference. They're there, they're changing bedpans, they're doing everything, and yet they're expected to pay for the privilege. And most nurses are older women, 20s, 30s, 40s, who are embarking on a second career. They've got mortgages, they've got kids to put through university. These bursaries are what keeps them coming into the system and what gets us our new generation of nurses. But they are being cut, and that's physios and so on as well, not just nurses. They are trying to make the junior doctors work hugely long hours, so it won't be safe. Who wants to be seen by a junior doctor with something complex, and that doctor is actually so tired they're almost hallucinating? We have to be very careful to look after our junior doctors for them to look after us. And staff are taking retirement, doctors are leaving, doctor surgeries are not getting enough doctors to be able to keep going. They're not getting enough money to be able to keep going. Staff are leaving in droves. So often when you go in and there's no staff there or not sufficient staff, you get very angry. It's because of the way that the NHS is going and how poorly they are now treating staff. And we're hardly being friendly to foreigners either, and yet so many of our doctors, so many of our nurses now are actually foreign born because we're not training enough people. And don't forget, it takes what, 15 years to train a doctor? How long do you to train a nurse? Many years. And these people can take their skills elsewhere. We may think that they're well paid, but they can earn double in places like Australia. And they don't have to work such long hours. So why shouldn't they go elsewhere? And medicine's now not that popular a choice of career either. People would rather become bankers or footballers or whatever. It's had a very bad press.
Can't hear very well, sir.
At least we collected it.
No money, no staff, no safety, rationing. People are being sent into the community to be cared for. Well, community sounds good. People should die in the community, shouldn't you? In your own bed. People should be cared for in the community. Well, yes, it does sound good, but just imagine what it really means. I work in this sort of the system. Think of an 85-year-old woman trying to give morphine to a dying 90-year-old man. Doesn't know how much to give him, you can kill him. On the phone to the nurse, oh, no nurses can get there. There's not enough nurses to go round. Our nurse is already somewhere else. That woman had to listen to her husband screaming in pain. That's what it can mean here in the community. It's not necessarily good, it just means no care in the community in many cases. So I'll leave off now. I've got another little bit that I can speak to, but I'll leave off now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jean Hardeman Smith, Socialist Health Association. Next we've got Mel Guilfoyle from the Save Liverpool Women's Hospital campaign. Big hand for Mel Guilfoyle, please.